war is upon us. Our kingdoms need reinforcements, and these reinforcements need to do cool things, damn it. Hello, my name is Scott, and I am a producer of audio dramas and actual plays and a game designer. And I have this little company where tabletop games and audio dramas meet. Welcome to the second devlog on A King's War. In the last video, we covered the core concepts of how this game started. And not going to lie, we got super lucky with the core mechanics and nailing those down in a way that it's fun and feels really fair and balanced. So now we're just seeking to add some more strategy and a little bit more fun to the game. How do we think we wanted to do that? We wanted to add more cool abilities because that was really fun playing your special card, your special unit, and having this really cool game-changing ability pop into play. And we were like, we need more of those. So at the time, we developed 4 decks, all with special units, and we called these the advanced decks. These were intended to add on to your current deck for an army, and it essentially doubled the size of the game. It doubled your army deck. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So the first thing that happened is we looked at the decks that we had and the special units, and we said what worked and what didn't work. Turns out 2 of the special units didn't quite work, so we changed one to make it in a way that would work, and then we took the other one and we just removed it from the game. And that left us with 4 decks. So we figured this would be a good set for a base game. We tossed around a 4-player game idea that we are still testing. We figured out that each of these decks could be themed around a specific play style and strategy. So we landed on 2 offensive decks and 2 defensive focused decks. The 4 decks we landed on are the following, starting with Tal Vernon. Tal Vernon is the most traditional deck and one of our 2 offensive decks. This deck is focused on building a field with soldiers that will give you extra actions, give you extra cards. It's actually the deck that we have made the least changes to, and the one that we thought we would have to change the most. It's very solid, and we felt like this was the deck that we wanted to base and balance all of our other decks too, because it felt fair. We made a minor change to it, and like that was it felt good to play and good to go against. The second deck to cover is Jafad. This is a defensive deck, and one of our favorites because it focuses on recursion and is designed to just outlast the other decks. We initially thought that this was going to be incredibly strong, but have had to make a lot of changes to it actually after the deck faced several times its own cards just working against it. Now it's sitting pretty balanced and has really good at keeping itself alive while also not being oppressively powerful. Sanderfuge is our second offensive deck. The design goal of this is theming it around a scouting style of play, with its 2 powerful cards getting the ability to sling free damage. And it utilizes this kind of scary large unit to try and draw the assassinations away from the free damage units. It took a major revision to get this balanced and kind of focus in on the scouting aspect of the deck. It also forced us to change how deployment in the field functions. I'll get more to that later. Our final deck that we've been working on is Marcellus. Marcellus is a defensive one and definitely been a tough one to work on. It's had nothing but buffs to it, honestly. This deck focuses on shielding its soldiers and removing damage as well. This deck had a lot of good ideas initially. As of now, this is still getting some fine tuning, but it's at a point where I think it's set. We'll see what happens when we get to the major playtesting stage where we bring in our friends outside of just Justice and I and get them to start ticking away at these. I'll make a video on each of these decks and the changes that they've gone through as well. Safe to say this was the design goal for each deck. We had to do a lot of revisions to get to a good place. The last major changes came in the following 2 ways. First, based off of playing with these decks, we limited the size of the field to 4 soldiers, but it helped make the game go a little faster, as well as kept it so that people couldn't just keep deploying when they wanted to hold on to a card and not play that card. The second major change came when we noticed that the games were starting to take like an hour to play or more. Especially if it was the 2 defensive decks, Jafad and Marcellus, their games could go like an hour and a half. And we didn't like that. We wanted to be closer to a half an hour being the higher end of a game time. So in order to shorten that, we also looked at the fact that now that we've added all these cool special ability soldiers, the regular soldiers without any special abilities were both boring and felt like filler. So we cut them from the deck, dropping the army deck total from 28 to 16 soldiers, all of which had a special ability, drastically decreased playtime and increased fun. Now it was actually difficult choice on what unit to deploy, and it was actually fun because every unit that was deployed affected the tactics of each player. And by cutting the army deck basically in half, we cut the game time in half. At this point, we are still playtesting, and I plan on doing progress updates on the changes that each deck has gone through in terms of special abilities and soldiers. After that, we'll probably do a gameplay sample. We'll record a couple games and then narrate the decisions that were made as we played them. I think the next devlog, though, will either be a Kestrel Files or a 6-gun devlog. One of those two. We'll find out together. If you have any questions on game design or where the future of this game is going, anything about that, leave it in the doobly-doo below or on the side, wherever the social media platform that you're on does things. And I will do my best to answer any and all questions that you guys have. That's it for now. We'll find out what the next devlog is together. Catch you on the flip side.